Hello, and we're back again with the Duel Links portion of the Yu-Gi-Oh! 2018 World Championship. We're here live in Chiba, Japan, which I don't think we mentioned yet, which is quite an experience. It's great being here.
Very hot. Very hot, very humid.
Outside, it's nice
Yes.
and air
We're
conditioned in
comfortable in
here.
here.
Nice in here.
But yeah, we are with round 5, and we have a match of Jason from America, from Northern California, up against Kozumi from Italy, I believe. I'm very excited for this matchup. A lot of the decks that Kozumi has brought, his legendary decks actually are the same kind of, right? One's Arcana, one is Yugi.
That's an alliance you don't see often.
Yeah, Arcana and Yami Yugi were both containing copies of Dark Magician. He had to spread copies of Dark Magician between the two decks. But I'm very excited for these legendary decks. I hope we get to see them go to Game 5, or at least Game 4, so we get to see the Dark Magicians in action. And then Jason, on the other hand, his legendary decks, I believe he brought Cyrus, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, we have Cyrus for his legendary decks, and also another Dark Magician, Yami Yugi. So we might see a Dark Magician mirror match, a matchup against each other. I'm excited.
I'm excited.
Looking forward to it.
Hopefully, we're about to jump to the duel here in a minute. So Jason is from Northern California. I've played Duel Links with him a few times in tournament. I know he's pretty good, actually. So I'm really excited to see some high-level play from a well-known player amongst the Duel Links community.
Everyone here is very good.
And he's
They are at the Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship.
This is the world.
Okay, here
But it
we
looks
go.
like the match is about to start underway. I'm so excited. Let's see what we got first. This is going to be a standard deck, so we're not going to see that Dark Magician matchup yet. But it is going to be Kaiba versus Crowler, so I'm expecting a for hire mirror match.
Yeah, I expect that as well, as those two characters are the only two characters that can learn Beatdown, and that's the most common ability coupled with the Fur Hire deck. Generally, it's a lot better to go second in that matchup. Would you agree?
Sometimes, yeah, you're able to get the Hate Tree, but sometimes you go first and have that beat and whiz and maybe a Treacherous Trap hole set. You get a huge advantage. But we do see a set monster here from Kozumi, so that's very interesting. Maybe not the best. Sometimes you want to just set any for hire just to kind of stay alive. It means you more than likely have Mayhem, the quick play spell card that can special summon any for hire monster from your graveyard back to the field.
Jason plays Seal, Strategist for Hire.
Seal's very important in the mirror match because late game when you need to add back your resources, he'll let you do that.
Yeah. It's not so good as an early summon, although 1,600 attack points isn't bad, actually, on a level 4 monster in that deck.
Right, it isn't a beat, but it is super solid. At least it gets the whiz out of his hand onto the field. So we see the dual skill beatdown being activated here, boosting both monsters to 1,900 attack. Seal attacking the face down monster. Yep, it is a beat, and you wonder why is he setting beat? That is the best card in the deck. More than likely has that quick play Mayhem for hire that will special summon it back, and then he'll be able to search his deck once he summons another one, and still have his normal summon on the following turn.
Yes.
So I expect no end phase Mayhem here, but let's see if he can start off.
Well, if he end-phased Mayhem, Wiz would be able to negate it, and then if the other face-down card is Treacherous Trapple or another Mayhem, Wiz would be able to negate that too, assuming there are two for hires in hand. So, best case scenario for Marjo is he has two usable Spell and Trap cards face down, so that he can use one of them.
Looks like we have a Dompa.
Yes, if he has two usable face down cards, Wiz can only negate one, but it looks like he may not need it because Beat's going to summon Donpa. Beat's effect will activate to search for Dyna, and then if Donpa summons Dyna, Dyna's effect will be able to destroy a monster.
But we do have the Treacherous Trap hole here. He's going to target both the monsters, so he's going to, if he still has that Mayhem set, he's going to be able to activate it, but if he has that for hire monster in hand, the Wiz will be able to negate it.
Right.
But we don't know for sure if he has that for hire monster in hand, because he didn't summon a beat turn 1, he summoned the Seal instead.
With two cards in his hand, I think it's very likely that, at a minimum, he has a Mayhem for hire he can discard.
True.
Because that's not a usable first turn
Maybe
card in his position. He's got to have something. If I'm Marjo here, I'm assuming that Wiz can negate a card.
Yeah, you'd want to be hopeful, but yeah, you have to assume that he has at least one negate.
Yeah.
I mean, he just wants return.
Right. So Marjo's best bet here is both face down cards being usable.
Like Treacherous Trap hole and a Mayhem.
Exactly. That's basically the combination he needs.
Or even like an enemy controller here in a Mayhem would work, because you could chain the enemy controller to the Treacherous Trap hole, take the whiz, but no, it doesn't look like he has either.
Looks like he was considering chaining a card. Perhaps he was considering chaining Mayhem for hire, which would not really have been
Wouldn't really
too
accomplish
useful.
anything.
He could just activate it now to the same effect.
So Taking some time to think. So he does have the Treacherous Chapel. He's trying to probably decide which one do I want to force out the negate with. Do I want to have him negate my Mayhem for hire and then I Treacherous both his monsters? Or do I want to force it out and then Mayhem for hire?
He goes for the Treacherous, prompting the negation from Wiz. And it looks very likely that his other face-down card is in fact Mayhem for hire.
So he's going to be able to bring that Dampa back. And if he has a for hire monster in his hand, he's going to be able to special summon it, and the Dampa's going to destroy the Wiz.
Right, and we know he has Dyna in his hand because he searched for it with Beat on the previous turn.
Oh, this turn. Yeah, I think it was actually this turn.
Here comes
Dampa.
Oh, you're right. It was this turn. So Dampa's going to summon Dyna.
Dyna being very powerful. When he's special summoned, he will be able to banish some monsters from his graveyard for each for hire monster he controls.
Not bad. But now, do you destroy... This is interesting. Do you destroy the level 4 monster, the Strategist, that can summon more for hire monsters from the hand at will?
Well, the Dampa's going to destroy the Wiz in defense mode, and then he's going to be able to go to his battle phase after using that dual skill beatdown. He's going to be able to attack over and clear his board.
So he chose to banish the Wiz by destroying that with Dampa. And then banishing with Dyna. He had the opportunity, though, to destroy the Strategist and banish that instead.
But
I don't think it matters.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if Strategist can add Strategist with his own effects. So.
I believe it can't, but it also leaves that in the graveyard to bring back with Mayhem for hire.
This is very true.
So that's another
but we do have a Dampa
consideration.
The Dampa, and with just 2 for hire monsters, that's all you need. The Dampa's going to be able to destroy the Dyna, and now Jason is taking complete control of this game back. Wiz going to gain some life points. So this is basically how this is the first for hire mirror match that we've actually seen so far. It's kind of how it goes. It's back and forth, Dampa destroying, Wiz negating the important cards. Both players opened up with good hands for their decks, but looks like Jason's might have just been a little bit better. It came down to a top deck on this turn. He needed to draw one of the 2 cards that he had in order to break this board that Koizumi had.
It's tough to recover when you have no cards as a for hire duelist, or duelist for hire, because you generally need 1 level 4 lower monster on the field to special summon 1 monster from your hand to start triggering the effect of that lower level monster and to start swarming the field. So Marjo draws a card, and with it being his only card, he concedes.
Yep. Third-rate duels for the 4th-rate deck. That is my favorite character line in the game. Nothing better. But, yep, Koizumi conceding game 1, Jason up for the first game. So now we're going to head up for the legendary decks, and this is what I'm excited for. I hope we see Dark Magician on Dark Magician battling each other out. Dark Magic Attack, who's going to win? I'm really excited to see this one deck from Koizumi. Just focuses on, it is pure Dark. There's a few tech cards in here that I'm really excited to see. I hope we get to see in action. I don't want to give too much away.
Yeah, he has a lot of dedication to the Dark Magician.
Now, in a Dark Magician mirror match, who do you think will have the advantage? The player goes first or player goes second?
Depends on the
how
deck.
Depends on
the builds of the deck, yeah.
But yeah, I would say it would just we'll have to wait and see what kind of version he's using. But a lot of the times, you're able to fill the board up with Dark Magicians using cards like Ancient Rules or using Silent Magician, so it's good. But it is Yami Yugi versus Yami Yugi in a Dark Magician versus Dark Magician matchup. So we saw a for hire mirror match, and now it's a Dark Magician mirror match. But even though I say mirror, the decks are different, so we will see some different things happen. Looks like who's going first? Jason's going to be going first. And he's using a 30-card Dark Magician Spellbook deck. So we're not only just looking at Dark Magician, it's mainly a Spellbook deck that happens to have the Dark Magician cards in it that are required to play for the Legendary Duel.
Okay.
So we see a Spellbook Magician of Prophecy. This blue boy is going to get a Spellbook of Life. That means he probably already has a Spellbook of Secrets in his hand. Oh, it's a Grass. That Grass looks greener.
That's really strong. That's where you want to be in your 30-card deck.
Yep, and hopefully if you milled, you can see he did send a card, Reaper of Prophecy, to the graveyard, so he's going to be able to use that Spellbook of Life he searched. Since they only play 1 copy, he wanted to make sure he got out of his deck before he activated that Grass. The Spellbook of Life is going to bring back the Reaper of Prophecy, and since if he has more than 5 Spellbooks in his graveyard, he'll be able to not only special summon a Dark Magician from his deck, it'll gain 300 attack, and at the end phase, he'll also be able to search for a Spellbook card and add it to his hand.
It's 600 attack.
Oh, 600 attack, yeah. So here comes Reaper of Prophecy.
But most importantly, he'll be able to summon his good friend, the Dark Magician.
So adding Spellbook of Fate, one of the strongest cards. The main card that Spellbooks use to counter every deck that they face.
So yeah, so to answer your question of whether going first or second is better, in this particular scenario, I'm going to say going first was better.
Gotcha.
But maybe he sent the Dark Magician to the grave, so he wasn't able to summon anything from his deck, or he didn't have enough spellbooks. But here comes
my ever faithful companion. Sorry, my Dan Green is terrible.
Here comes the Dark Magician down from the animation from Ancient Rules. I'm a big fan of Ancient Rules in the TCG, so I love that I get to see it here in Duel Links. So here comes Dark Magician. And it's going to be met by a Spellbook of Fate right away. Going to banish those three Spellbooks from the graveyard and just banish the Dark Magician right away. Probably doing this to avoid cards like Thousand Knives that he'd have to activate. He has to control the Dark Magician to activate. And it looks like he's not going to be able to do anything else. So we're just going to see one back row set from Koizumi and pass. From his hand, he activates a spell card, Spellbook of Eternity.
Spellbook of Secrets returns to his hand.
So I'm going to assume his other card in his hand is not a Spellbook card. Here comes Spellbook of Secrets. Searching for Spellbook Magician of Prophecy.
Summons it to the field. It's interesting because if he can't finish off Marjo this turn, he risks dropping him under 2,000 life points and putting his Destiny Draw ability online.
So yeah, he'll probably attack in the right order, attack with the Spellbook Magician Prophecy, attack with the other Spellbook Magician Prophecy, and then he'll have to stop the big attack that would finish him off. Oh, no, it's still not enough.
It won't finish him off. So
he's a little short.
He's going to have the option of either dealing the 2,600 points of damage to bring Marjo down to 400, or just not attacking at all.
Yeah, in my head, I'd already thought he was going to Spellbook of Power, and but it didn't have enough Spellbooks. So instead of risking it all in Spellbook of Power, he wanted to make sure he had the Fate. Because with this setup, when you have Spellbook of Fate and 3 Spellcasters, even if he has Treacherous Trap Hole, he's going to be able to use that Spellbook of Fate to banish whatever problem he might face. So Destiny Draw, very powerful dual skill, lets you draw any card from your deck of your choice.
Right, so now he can get any card, but is there any card that will help him here?
Magician's Rod? No, it was Kaiku. A normal summon of Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer. This card prevents his opponent from banishing any monsters, but it doesn't look like he has any follow-up with the Kaiku, so even though it is the counter to the Spellbook of Fate, but it's not going to be enough. It looks like we're getting a tribute summon here for the Dark Magician. Tribute to 2 Spellbooks.
Oh, he must have Dark Magic Attack.
About to find out. Nope, just going to go straight to battle. Does he have Treacherous Trap Hole? Dark Magic Attack? Nope, no Treacherous Trap Hole, and that's going to end the duel. Jason's going to take game 2 very easily.
I guess the Tribute Summon was mostly for style.
Well done, Jason.
Yeah. Seems a little risky. I mean, if there was a Treacherous Trap Hole there, it would have been pretty devastating.
Yeah, I guess it wouldn't matter because Treacherous Trap Hole would be devastating either way.
And this is very true.
Was that style or was that BM?
We're going to go with style on that one. I think in the Dark Magician mirror match, you want to win with Dark Magician, say, I'm the stronger Dark Magician. But going first was huge for Jason because he was able to establish that board, have that Grass Looks Greener, make the Reaper of Prophecy, have Spellbook of Fate, and just control that. All it takes is that one Spellbook of Fate, and most decks can only do 1 or 2 things per turn. And you just stop what they're trying to do, and you just keep it going and do it again and again, and it's that Spellbook loop.
Yeah, having Spellbook of Fate face down on your first turn, capable of banishing any card, is critical.
Yep. So now we're going into game 3, and this is exciting. It is actually another mirror match, I would guess, but a little different. So Taya Holy Guard's gonna, we saw that earlier with Amazonas, where you don't have to take damage during your turn when you battle. But Weevil, Parasite Infestation, you might wonder, why he's using Parasite Infestation. It's going to shuffle 1 to 2 copies of Parasite into the opponent's deck. And is he not using Parasite Infestation? Sorry, pardon me for a moment. Let's see what this Weevil dual skill is. Oh, it is Parasite. It just hadn't started yet. Okay, I was it's supposed to start at the beginning of the duel. Shuffles the Parasite into the deck. It's not going to be really helpful against Amazonas, but it's really helpful against decks like Noble Knights or Spellbooks because they require to have a warrior or a spellcaster on the field. And when they draw that Parasite, it turns them all into insects. They take the 1,000 and shuts their deck down completely. And it also gives you a monster to attack with your Amazonas Princess that comes to the field.
We're seeing a lot of mirror matches.
Yep. That means both these guys, they're very good Duel Links players, so they probably have the same kind of ideas when they're going into each round.
Yeah. So Princess searches for Onslaught, and when it does, he shuffles his deck and puts Parasite on top.
Yep.
So looks like he wasn't able to shuffle again to get rid of it, so he'll be forced to draw it on the next turn, special summon, and lose 1,000 life points.
Yep, and the 1,000 life points, you do have cards like Amazonas Swordswoman, which also do a lot of damage just from battling monsters. So there's a lot of things that work really well together with Amazonas and the Parasite dual skill that you might not expect. But it looks like we have an onslaught from both players. Yeah, a lot of times in the Amazon mirror match, what it comes down to is who has more monsters, who's able to keep summoning their Amazon's monsters over and over, because they're going to keep banishing and keep getting rid of them.
Right.
And if whoever just keeps summoning them off the onslaught, usually ends up being able to win.
Yeah, and Baby Tiger isn't as good as it is in other matches because it will be banished and
from the
usually
onslaught
will not recur. So both players have Onslaught, Swordswoman and Princess battle, and both of them get banished.
Are there any decks that you would want to have more than, say, 15 monsters in? Is there a...
maybe if you were playing like 30 cards or something. Like I'm pretty sure the Dark Vision deck we saw previously did have maybe close to 15, but yeah, you really just want to keep it around like the 8 to 10 kind of mark, like 10 being like high for the amount of monsters, yeah. Okay. But in the Amazon, because you don't want to draw too many monsters, you want to have spell and traps and have a good mixture of things.
And you want to focus your draw.
Right. So it looks like we have another copy of Amazon's Princess. So.
That's really good because you can use its effect to get rid of the Parasite.
Indeed. But we do have a Paleozoic Canadia. I mean, you got to make sure you activate a card like Canadia before the end of the battle phase, or at the beginning of the battle phase before the Princess can declare an attack. Because as soon as it declares an attack, its effect triggers. He can send a card from his hand or field to the graveyard and special summon an Amazon's monster from the deck. But now that we're in battle phase, you see that he's going to use that Onslaught to special summon Swordswoman from his hand. It's going to gain 500 attack just for this turn, and Attack Direct is going to connect and cut Weevil's life points in half.
That's really good.
It is really good. Paleozoic Canadia's effect in the graveyard when the trap card is activated, you can special summon it back, is actually really huge in this matchup because it's a way to get rid of the Amazon's monsters without losing your monsters at the same time.
Yeah. Marjo's field is much better developed. Looks like he's probably going to run away with this duel.
It's been that Parasite attack mode because 500 plus 1500 is 2000, and that's how many life points.
Another Canadia.
So the Canadian's probably going to put the Swordswoman face down, then he'll be able to chain the Canadian in his graveyard to special summon it back. Paleozoic Canadia, one of the strongest cards in Duel Links, if not I think the absolute best trap card next to Treacherous Trap Hole, possibly. If not, maybe better, but they work well together, too.
Floodgate Trap Hole is really good, too.
Yeah, it is solid. Floodgate is a solid one. Just being able to have to respond to the summon and not have, like, the flexibility, but it does permanently put them face down, which is huge.
Why didn't Marjo flip summon his monster this turn?
It was in the battle. Oh, you mean the
one?
Princess. I'm not. Oh, and he booked the. I don't know.
That was on the previous turn.
Yeah, it was. You're right. Because that was like the Canadian was in the graveyard.
Yeah.
Yeah, but let's see the Canadian here taking down the Parasite. He's going to take 700. So that Parasite ended up doing 1,700 points of damage. That's almost half of his life points just from that one card. So you see the advantage of using the Weevil's dual skill.
Yeah, and even disregarding the fact that it changes all your monsters to insects while it's on the field and does 1,000 points of damage to you, it also deprives you of a draw that could be a useful card, because instead of your normal draw for the turn, you're getting Parasite.
Right. He could have let the Princess down last turn to play around Wall of Disruption, too. I was just thinking about that.
I was considering that, but usually you don't leave Princess down to play around Wall of Disruption. If they
have
Wall of Disruption, you can use the Princess to get rid of one of your zero-attack monsters.
Right, so we have a pretty big chance. So Super Rush Headlong is really good in the mirror match because it finds a way to destroy your opponent's Amazon's monsters without having to lose yours, which is, like I said before, whoever has more monsters is usually the winner in this matchup. But we see a Paleozoic Canada put the monster down that got Super Rush Headlong, and the other Canada is going to come back. But I don't know if it's going to. Yeah, I'm just going to take that damage, and then Paleozoic Canada is going to get banished by its effect. And it looks like another monster coming down for Koizumi. And the Princess is going to attack. Amazon's Onslaught. We're looking over here at the banish zone for a second. And the Onslaught's going to summon Paladin for her hand, who gains 500 from the Onslaught and 100 for each Amazon he controls. But the one
Sphere Karibo.
The one card in hand is Sphere Karibo, so he is not over. This match is not over yet. Even though he has no cards in hand, it's going to be rough, but at least there's some hope as opposed to none.
How can he win?
Pot of Greed?
I don't know what that does, so it's possible. Let's see. If he gets... Yeah, it's going to be tough to deal the 2,000 damage.
Princess, if there's a card, this Princess is going to let him search the deck for an Amazon's Willpower, so it's kind of like two cards in one. But I don't know if he has any Amazon's monsters in his graveyard since the Onslaughts have been up since the beginning of the duel.
Yeah. That's tough.
So he's going to attack. Let's see what he chooses to do. He's going to send, I would guess, his other Spell and Trap card he has face down. Yep, which is another copy of Onslaught. And you never really want to draw two of that card in the mirror match, and because they're not going to really get rid of it, and it's pretty much useless at this point.
So he's working on evening out the field, but I don't think he's going to make it because Marjo's still ahead on monsters.
Yep. Like I say, yeah, the player who draws the more Amazoness monsters is usually the one who finds victory easier. But he'll be able to attack with the swordswoman and inflict 100. Right now...
Well, they're both swordswomen.
Well, I'm saying the swords... Okay, the one swordswoman. But it looks like
stronger one.
Yeah, he's going to probably have a monster in his hand for Onslaught to special summon from his hand, knowing his opponent only has a willpower, Amazon's willpower face down, which special summons an Amazoness from the graveyard, but there are no Amazoness in the graveyard. And it looks like, yep, here comes the direct attack. He's going to put him down to 200, and all we need is any Amazoness monster in his hand to be special summoned from the effect of Onslaught. Here it comes. It looks like Kazumi might be able to take this to another game and not get 3-0'd like we saw in the past couple of rounds.
Yep. So another swordswoman hits the field, and we know the face-down willpower won't do anything without Amazonesses in the graveyard.
So concession here from Jason, and Kazumi is trying to even things up, still down a game.
Well played.
Well played. But we do get to see another legendary deck duel, and that is something I'm excited about. I kind of already maybe give you a little bit of spoiler coming up, but there is a Dark Magician deck, another Dark Magician deck that we get to see, but it's more so, it's Arcana, and it's going to be the 30-card, the Grass Spellbook kind of Dark Magician deck that we saw do so well already for. Oh, no, that's the one he used. No, he used Yami Yugi before, didn't he?
Yes.
Okay, so we are going to see
Yami Yugi mirror
Arcana.
match.
Yep, so now we're going to see Arcana against Cyrus, I believe. Is it?
I believe you're correct.
Yeah, but it's going to be Cyrus. So we see, Girgia very popular amongst the Cyrus. So hopefully we see another direct attack from Submarineroid for game like we saw earlier.
And here we go.
So here we are for game number 4. If Jason wins this, he's the winner of round 5. It looks like Kazumi's going to go second. So let's see if Girgia can open up with Tie of the Brethren. Ties of the Brethren. I'm sick of always being scared. Don't be scared, Cyrus. Cyrus's brother's in the game now, Zane.
Yes.
With some of the Cyber Dark cards. Some cool, some Cyber Dragon Light cards.
Yeah. You can get Cyber Phoenix also leveling up.
Yep, I love Cyber Phoenix. That's a classic card that I've always enjoyed. But it looks like we just have a Droid here. No Ties of the Brethren.
Yeah, not a great start for Jason.
Hopefully he has like a Pulse Mines. But Pulse Mines is still not going to be very good against Spellbook. So
no.
I think the matchup was probably Kazumi's a little favorite right here, I think. As long as the only problem with Spellbooks is when you draw the hands where they're unplayable.
Well, this is not one of them. As he started with Spellbook Magician of Prophecy, gets Spellbook of Secrets, and uses Spellbook of Secrets to get Spellbook of Fate.
Yep, and then we'll see the Spellbook of Master. Probably going to reveal the Spellbook of Fate he just searched for.
Might as well, since Jason already knows he has it.
Yep, going to go for Spellbook Organization. A lot of people might ask, why Spellbook Organization? Because it is just otherwise there's no other Spellbook card outside of Spellbook of Power you can really just activate to put that third Spellbook in the grave you need, so you can activate the banishing effect of Spellbook of Fate. And it also lets you look at your next draws and set up perfectly, which is it actually matters a lot. So we're going to see a Girgia Anchor come down. So yeah, we're going to see that Organization be activated so we can get that third Spellbook in the grave. Goes to battle phase, so we see a Fate here. I would assume he's going to just banish 2 and book maybe his own Spellbook Magician, probably face down to search. Nope, he's going to banish the monster. So that means he probably already has a Spellbook of Eternity or Spellbook of Secrets already in his hand, maybe another Magician of Prophecy. But Kazumi taking 1100. Let's see what Arcana can do. Yep, another copy of Spellbook Magician of Prophecy. That's the one you don't really want to draw 2 of because you can't even set those down as like bluffs or anything. But as long as you keep the cycle going, make sure you have another Spellbook of Fate that comes online, then your deck is doing everything it needs to do. So Eternity, you're going to add. So this is the play I was talking about earlier. Eternity adds back Masters. You master copy the Eternity to add back Secrets. So you just fill your grave up with more Spellbooks. But he's going to go with Organization since he just revealed the Secrets he already had. So he's going to get the card that he can activate since all the Spellbooks are once per turn. So here comes the Fate. Probably going to see, the Show of Nightmares. This dual skill is really cool.
Yeah, this one actually I haven't seen before this weekend.
How does this work?
He randomly gets to add a spell card from his graveyard to his hand.
Ooh. Yep, so he just put that Spellbook of the Master. That's probably not the one he wanted. He wanted to add back that Spellbook of Fate so he could have 2. Maybe he already has the third one also. But we see a back row and a direct attack from Spellbook Magician of Prophecy.
Yeah, I'm more used to seeing Master Magicians.
Yeah, but it is definitely good. It is a very good dual skill in Spellbooks, though.
Yeah, getting back a free spell is
huge.
free card is always good. That's, I mean, Cyrus's ability as well for the fusion reserves.
So we see the activation of Spellbook Organization because I mean, after the battle phase, there is no main phase 2. It's going to be his next turn, so maybe he needs to make sure he draws a certain card. Go ahead and activate and dump it. So if with his dual skill, if he had added back the Spellbook of Fate instead of the Spellbook of the Master, this game would have been completely different. He would have been able to Fate that Girgia attacker, and Cyrus probably would have had no chance. Or sorry, Jason would have had no chance at this. But we have
another Spellbook Magician of Prophecy.
Looks like he opened up with 3 copies of Spellbook Magician of Prophecy.
He gets Spellbook of Eternity with it.
So we're going to see Eternity here. It's probably going to add back Spellbook of Fate because he already has the Master in his hand. Then the Master will probably copy Eternity, copying the secrets. Or adding the secrets with Eternity's effect copied by Spellbook of the Master. Yep, here comes secrets. Spellbook's all about filling up your graveyard and make sure you just keep it all going. You got to keep the money moving. Spellbook of Fate, going to banish 3. Probably going to banish the Girgia Anchor. Something that's cool about Spellbook of Fate, so it doesn't target. So when you activate it, it says banish 1 card that your opponent controls. Your opponent has to choose whether he wants to activate any of his cards then, and if he doesn't, say he goes for one of the Speller Traps, it'll just be banished and you won't have a opportunity to chain it.
Oh, really?
So sometimes you force your opponent to activate something early, so you actually kind of get 2 cards for 1 with your Spellbook of Fate.
Nice.
Marjo's playing a lot of cards, but he's sort of struggling to build a real field.
Yeah, this is kind of the Spellbooks do a little bit of damage over time. Unless they draw the Silent Magician we've seen. But using the Fate on every monster, it looks like Jason finally ran out of monsters to summon.
For now,
which is the goal of Spellbooks. It's kind of slowly grind your opponent down. Here we go, Kaiku's Ghost Destroyer. Floodgate Trapple. So yeah, Kaiku would have definitely accelerated the clock to have Jason's life reduced to 0, but the Floodgate going to put the Kaiku down. Let's see what we have. Does Jason maybe have a Powerful Birth or something? No.
Floodgate Trapple actually seems really good in that deck because if you lock their field down, you can stall them long enough to play Ties of the Brethren,
or get to Girgia Anchor,
Girgia Attacker, and then just wipe out everything at once to take the win.
Yep. It's also possible that Jason has the monster, but he knows that there's a Fate face down, so he's waiting to do something about the field before he actually summons his last monster. But if Jason somehow is able to get rid of this Spellbook Magician Prophecy off the field before summoning the monster, he could easily win this game because he's running low on monsters.
Yeah, well, if Jason didn't have a monster before, he can certainly get one now because he has his skill. Fusion reserves.
So he's definitely going to draw a Roid. It's going to be Drill Roid, Steam Roid, Submarine Roid.
Oh.
We've seen him a lot this weekend.
And now, correct me if I'm wrong, but he draws a card and then also gets that free card, right? It doesn't replace the draw.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Yep, it's just a bonus. It's just a bonus Roid to your hand. Here comes Submarine Roid. Can attack Spellbook Magician of Prophecy. He's trying to just get all the spellcasters off his opponent's side of the field so he won't have to deal with Spellbook of Fate anymore. Even though this is the 3rd Spellbook Magician of Prophecy, he'll probably be able to add the Fate back to his hand because I'm assuming he has another copy of Spellbook of Eternity, which a lot of duelists play 3 of, since it can make sure Fate keeps coming back.
So Submarine Roid is banished from the duel by Spellbook of Fate. Marjo really needs to win here, though.
We got a Spellbook of the Master. It's probably going to copy, showing Spellbook of Power, copy Eternity. So he had the potential to try and possibly go for getting this turn with the Spellbook of Power and then Master copying the Spellbook of Power, making the Spellbook Magician of Prophecy 2,500 attack. But with 3 cards in your opponent's spell and trap card zone, you don't want to really do that. You want to just make sure you have a Fate set up for next turn to just keep dealing with the monster one at a time, even if it's the slow way to win. Eventually, slow and steady wins the race. Or you're playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And your opponent draws something off the top of their deck with the heart of the cards, and you gave them too much time in the Tide's turn.
Oh, we'll see.
I mean, what do you think Jason has face down? I'm going to guess that he has at least 1 copy of Ties of the Brethren face down into his spell and trap card zone as a bluff.
It's possible he just set it as a bluff.
Okay,
it's tough because Ties of the Brethren cost 2,000 life points to even activate.
So he's going to use the Spellbook of Fate to, even though the Floodgate says you can't change it back up, the Spellbook of Fate's going to turn it back into attack mode and attack directly and finish this duel. So we're going to a game 5.
Well done, Marjo.
Yes. 3 back rows, none of them could stop that Kaiku's attack.
I'm now going to change. I think at least 2 ties of the Brethren were set back there. We'll have to ask him later. But I sometimes that happens where you just have the ties and then you get faded. Your one monster gets faded over and over again, and you're never able to actually activate your power card.
Yeah. The 2,000 life point cost to activating that card really makes it so that you want it on your first turn. And if you don't get it on your first turn, it might not even be useful.
Yep.
That deck I think is the most dependent on the strength of its first turn play.
Right, yeah, and he didn't open up with the Ties of the Brethren, just had the Druid, and always just had that one monster, and Spellbooks just devour anything with just one monster they have to focus on. Noble Knights, Droids, Geargia. But this is going to be our last match, and I think we are having a Destiny Hero deck, but not Aster Phoenix. It is going to be Jaden Yuki, but playing...
That's just wrong.
But playing with the Destiny Hero card. So hopefully we see a mass change and Mass Hero Anki and stuff. And it is, just a Jaden Yuki versus Jaden Yuki.
Well, I'm going to have to root for the Destiny Heroes.
So Kazumi using the... Oh, they're both using Jaden Yuki Destiny here.
Really?
There's a chance that these guys may have worked together before. They not only played very similar decks, they picked the same order of the decks they chose to use against each other. So you'll see that amongst a lot of the top players in any sort of gaming community, that they kind of come to a general consensus of what's good and the best way to play in the most effective order. So we just see a Vion here sitting Celestial. It's important to set up for next turn. So he'll be able to banish 2 cards from his graveyard. So we see a Cosmic Cyclone coming down right away. Hopefully he's going to force out a mass change or hit a Treacherous Trap Hole or hit the bluff Hey True Nate. So that means he missed. He had a 50-50 there, and that was not the one he wanted.
You don't know that they're not both bluffs.
They could just both be Hey True Nate.
Yeah.
If I had to guess, I would guess it's a mass change.
Jason matches with his own Vision Hero Vion and uses it to send Destiny Hero Malicious to the graveyard.
Ooh, so there's a chance we're going to see him banish the Malicious here, then use the mass change on the Malicious. Oh, no, he has a Destiny draw. Never mind. That's it. Does he discard Drill Dark? He's playing around Treacherous Trap Hole, possibly not wanting to summon the Malicious before he used that Destiny draw, or just risking the fact that he would draw into that second Malicious. But Vion's effect's going to let him banish the Drill Dark from his graveyard and add a copy of Polymerization to his hand. So definitely a good hand here from Jason. Oh, no, he did just take the gamble that he wouldn't draw into that Destiny Hero Malicious off the Destiny draw. And he didn't, so he's going to special summon it from his deck. He probably drew into at least 2 copies of Mass Change now, so he didn't feel like he had to play around Treacherous Trap Hole whatsoever.
He activates Polymerization. If this is a Treacherous Trap Hole, that could actually be devastating because it could force him to fuse monsters from his hand, or he can just wait for the monster to be summoned and then Treacherous Trap Hole to clear the field.
Right.
So
we got a Fusion Summon for Destiny Hero. Vision Hero Trinity.
Oh, he fused 3.
Oh, yep. So Vision Hero Trinity, when he summons his attack, gets doubled to 5,000.
Oh, he went all in. The tie that binds, each monster on his field gains 100 attack points for each monster on his field. It's either Treacherous Grapple or it's over.
No, even if it's Treacherous Grapple, if the one card in his hand is Mass Change, there's nothing you can do about it.
Oh, it's Forbidding Chalice.
Oh, so
you can negate Vision Hero Trinity's effect.
So it's going to go to 29.
And it'll only be able to attack once. So that would be 19 plus 21.
Yep, so he's basically forcing Jason...
plus against the 14.
Yep, he's going to force Jason to have Mass Change here, or the game... If his Mass Change, the game is over. I would be really surprised if it's not Mass Change.
He only has 1 card in his hand.
Yep.
That's what it is.
Here comes Mass Change, going to turn into Mass Hero Anki, and unless the last card is Fear Karibo, this duel's going to be over, and Jason is going to take it 3-2. Here comes... We haven't got to see Mass Hero Anki yet, but it's one of the most powerful cards in Duel Links. 2,800 attack. It can attack directly for half damage. And anytime it destroys a monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, you search your deck for a copy of Mass Change and add it to your hand.
Is that limited?
Nope.
Really?
No, it is one of the strongest cards. This is the reason why this deck is so good.
You can also attack directly.
Yep, and it does have damage. Yep, but as you see, Jason wins here with that Mass Change. Used all his cards going second. Drew a very good hand, including the cards he drew off that Destiny draw to favor him very well. Sometimes there's nothing you can do about the incredible draws.
That was a good display of what Destiny Heroes are capable of.
Hey, I'm just glad the Destiny Heroes won.
They had to win this time. They finally they play against each other. Destiny Heroes are one of my favorite decks in Duel Links because it's things like that. You can also use cards. We saw Forbidden Chalice. A lot of players use Forbidden Chalice in their deck because Mass Hero Anki can attack directly, but it does have damage normally. But if you were to activate that Forbidden Chalice in the damage step on targeting the Anki, it does attack for 3,200 directly, which is almost all your life points in Duel Links since you only have 4,000. But big congratulations to Jason. Top level play. Both these players, you can tell, knew what they were doing. They both had similar ideas, played a lot of the same cards, had the same matchups over and over again. So congratulations to both these duelists. This is round 5 out of 7. They have 2 more rounds today to go, and they're on their way to make top 8. the Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. At least Jason is.
I believe it's top 4 tomorrow. Right?
Top 4. It goes top 4 tomorrow.
Top 2 from each of the.
Oh, yeah, it's top 2
blocks.
from each of the pools. That's right.
But there will only be one champion.
Only one Duel Links champion tomorrow. I am excited about it. We still have around 6 and 7 left to go today. Congrats to Jason. And then I think we're going to cut to the TCG next. So stick around if you want to hang out and see the World Championship 2018 here in Japan.
We'll be back.